From the Alvin and Rosalie Sarachek studio, PBS Kansas presents Hatteberg's People.
Get set for another trip through the decades to revisit the lives of Hatteberg's people.
Now here's a look at what's coming up.
To me, it's not only a great thrill to touch history myself, but it turns me on more to life.
His collection of rare artifacts was enough to start a museum, so he did. We'll show you this 1998 interview with the founder of the Museum of World Treasures. Also,
well, basically what it did is it cut this finger off right through here, and then it cut these fingers in half. And they had to reimplant this middle finger.
After all that, it looked like Jeff Pritchard's music career might be over. We'll revisit this story from 1981 to explain what happened and show you how it all turned out. Plus,
we're looking at the Worldwide Worm headquarters.
sounds like a big deal, and it was at the time. You'll see how Ivan Moore wormed his way into the business world where it all led. And we'll have this.
I'm in Wichita, and I'm in Atlanta, Sacramento, Houston, San Antonio, and what am I forgetting? I'm sure it's a good one.
he was a TV pitchman, some say a car marketing legend. If you watched TV back in the 80s and 90s, you surely remember Tom Park. We're going to go back to 1991 for this look at an advertising icon. Hello, I'm Susan Peters.
And I'm Larry Hatteberg. We'll have those stories and a whole lot more on this half hour of Hatteberg's People. These stories are like old friends. Their lives radiate from the screen like prophets of the past. They were teachers, but not in a classroom. Instead, they taught about life to those around them who cared to listen, and I was their student.
He was obsessed with history, amassing relics from lost civilizations and forgotten wars.
But for Dr. John Kardatsky, the collection was not just a hobby, it was the beginning of something far greater. Now, when I visited him in the 1990s, I couldn't believe the things he had sitting on his dining room table.
Silver.
Dr. John Kardatsky lives in the past and loves it.
Oh, man. How can you tell?
This retired Wichita doctor is one of the state's foremost collectors of historic artifacts.
I sparkle when I start thinking about history.
Rare items, usually reserved only for the finest museums, are now owned by Kardatsky's foundation.
To me, it's not only a great thrill to touch history myself, but it turns me on more to life.
Always kept in vaults and under heavy security, Kardatsky displayed some of his remarkable collection, like this cornerstone from the church where the prophet Abraham prayed.
I feel that I am touching Abraham, and I very well could be.
In modern times, a rare note from President John F. Kennedy and his attorney.
Jack signs it, and he doodles MM, and it has to do with the contract between he and Marilyn for $500,000 to hide the fact of his friendship with Sam Giancana, the great underworld boss, and his affair with Marilyn Monroe. Roman rings, 2,000 years old. Who knows whether the Apostle Paul may have worn one of these.
Letters and documents from presidents are framed and stacked before returning to the vault. This rare document is from our first president.
And so history is not nearly as scary as people think. In fact, it becomes extremely exciting and fun.
In the frame, locks of George Washington's hair make this, oh, so rare.
To me, that's a passion.
A passion that includes documents and letters from every president, including Lincoln.
To me, it runs electricity all through me. I feel like I have touched Abraham Lincoln.
The collection of artifacts is wide-ranging and unique, like this petrified dinosaur dung, Roman coins, both gold and silver, and artifacts like vases from the Roman Empire.
I have a deep sense that I'm bonding with whatever I'm touching and whoever I'm touching.
One of the most prized collections is this silver and gold bar that is Montezuma's treasure, taken by Cortez.
So this is a treasure bar sunken for 470 years that was looted from Montezuma the king of the Aztecs, by Cortez, and it was sunk in 1528.
Kardatsky's goal is to share this treasure with others so they might have the same thrill he gets every time he touches history.
It's absolutely exhilarating.
Now, a couple of years later, John and his wife Lorna founded the Museum of World Treasures in Wichita. Now, in the years following the museum collection, as it grew in size and scope, it became one of Wichita's leading tourist attractions. Dr. Kardatsky was involved up until his death in 2022. Mrs. Kardatsky remains involved with the museum as of 2025. Fascinating man. The whole family is incredibly fascinating. And what he did with the Museum of World Treasures was a real positive thing for Wichita.
No, it's unbelievable. It's like this unbelievable gem in downtown Wichita. You know, I have relatives come in from California. I take them to the Museum of World Treasures. They're like, what?
Yep.
This exists here?
Yeah.
I mean, stuff that doesn't exist in big cities.
I know, and I remember Dr. John came up to me and he put a coin in my hand, and I said, what's that? And he says, it's a Roman coin. Where do you run into a Roman coin? I have the Roman coin at home that he gave me. He would just pass them out to people.
No way.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, the Egyptian mummies were in there a couple of years ago. I'm sure they still are. I'm not positive, but just unbelievable things.
It is unbelievable, and his son is my doctor.
Okay, then. Cool, man.
It is cool.
That is cool.
It is cool.
I love that. Okay, he was a rising star, a fiddle virtuoso whose music could set toes tapping and hearts soaring. But then tragedy struck. A devastating injury threatened to silence his silver strings forever.
Now, it looked like Jeff would never play again, but he wasn't ready to give up. Here's Jeff's incredible story from 1981 of his fight to reclaim his music and the triumphant return that had bluegrass and country music fans across Kansas cheering.
Jeff Pritchard is a 23-year-old national award-winning bluegrass fiddle player, and through his fingers comes music from the heart.
To me, music is just one way to express myself. It's one way I can show what I can do and what I guess sometimes what I can't do also.
It was 16 months ago that Jeff thought his career was finished. As he was building this home for his parents near Valley Center, an accident with a circular saw almost ended his music.
Well, basically what it did is it cut this finger off right through here, and then it cut these fingers in half. And they had to re-implant this middle finger.
So we got to the hospital, and when I saw it, I just went to pieces. And they made me leave because I was upsetting him more than he was. He was already upset, and I was making it worse. So it was a terrible ordeal.
After the first operation didn't work and didn't take it, my hopes kind of dropped off because I never thought I'd get my finger back to the point where I could play the fiddle again. But I kind of kept up a false front for everybody else, for Mom here. She's the one who really needed it just as bad as I did, because it really means a lot to her. Probably more than it does to me a lot of times. Let's play a little bowling down the cabbage.
Oh, good deal.
This music is a small miracle in the life of Jeff Pritchard. When doctors at the Jewish Hospital in Louisville, Kentucky surgically bent the fingertip of the once severed finger, doctors were confident that Jeff could play again, and they weren't wrong.
It feels really good to be able to play again, and I'm just really surprised. I was amazed the night that, well, it was the night of my birthday that Mom and I tried to play for the first time. I was just kind of flabbergasted. I couldn't believe it that it would come back as easy as it did.
This holiday season, Jeff Pritchard has received a great gift, the gift of music from once severed fingers. It's a story that just a few years ago could not have had a happy ending. Modern medical science made it possible. Jeff Pritchard's determination made it a reality. From Valley Center, this is Larry Hatteberg.
Well, Jeff just continued to become more famous for his fiddle playing. Now he's still performing and has a son who is following in his footsteps. You know, bad things happen sometimes in life, but I really admire those who can get through it, overcome it, and come back with a triumph.
It's your reaction to the bad things
Exactly.
that are the key to your success. I'm
That's
so glad he came back to play. One of Jeff Pritchard's influences in the world of bluegrass violin was Russ Morton.
Now, Russ was an inspiration and a mentor to many through the years. He was a master musician and a master craftsman. And he was not only a fiddle player, he was a fiddle fixer. This is him in 2003.
That's Russ Morton of rural Newton, Kansas. But he's not simply relaxing. Oh no, he's testing one of his rebuilt fiddles that gained new life in his basement workshop.
Yeah, we'll bring this old fiddle back to life.
For over a quarter century, Morton has turned a quiet basement into a life's harmony of
This is
work.
going to be a nice little violin.
Repairing, restringing, collecting, and selling old fiddles and violins.
I never get tired of working on an old violin. It's just a joy to do.
Part of that joy is being here in this little workshop, surrounded by his tools and the instruments he saves. There is satisfaction here.
But I tell them, just like it is, if I can't fix your old violin, it ain't even broke.
Some of his finished work sits on a nearby table, work that until recently he wasn't able to do because of illness, but now he's back.
This work keeps my hands busy, and it keeps your mind working all the time. I mean, you don't have room for slip-ups, you know. It's good for the old soul, I think. Sometimes you come home from work and feeling a little bit down because things didn't go right today. Just pick up the old violin and play it a little bit, and pretty soon supper's ready and you forgot your troubles.
Now, Russ passed away the following year, but his legacy lives on in the Russ Morton Youth Fiddle Jam that's held annually in July at the Starvey Creek Bluegrass Festival in Conway, Missouri. He was also posthumously inducted into the Kansas Bluegrass Hall of Fame back in 2013. Bluegrass, so popular in Kansas.
Isn't it?
It has a great following here, and these folks who were involved in it, they've done a great job, and people remember them forever, really.
I'm so glad his legacy lives on in that concert and in Hatteberg's people. He deserves it.
Great people, great people.
The man in this next story found a way to worm his way into the business world, and he's never looked back.
Yeah, his name is Ivan Moore, and in 2002, Ivan had the wiggle room to pursue his dream of being an entrepreneur.
We're looking at the Worldwide Worm headquarters.
The sign says it all. Worldwide Worm headquarters in Valley Center.
I'm a rancher. I absolutely love what I do, and I don't think I could picture myself doing anything else.
In his worm warehouse, 21-year-old entrepreneur Ivan Moore is growing millions of worms for sale all over the U.S.
I'll do it as long as I can. As long as I'm able to pay the bills, I'll be here.
Behind his building, cow manure and cardboard.
1,237 pounds in just this one bale, and I usually go through a couple bales a month. That's what the worms eat. 60% of their diet is right here in this cardboard.
His company has found a niche. The worms are sold because they become slithery, sticky recyclers of nature.
I sell the worms for home vermicomposting, and there's quite a few people in Wichita that have worm bins now. And they just feed all of their junk mail, kitchen scraps, cardboard, cereal boxes, put all of all of their lettuce, table scraps in there, anything but dairy products and meats you could put to a worm bin, and they'll eat it.
Harvesting millions of worms is difficult, dirty work. Ivan does it all by himself.
This is something that I'm proud of, that not many people know a whole lot about worms, and it's something that I could go talk to people about and share with them something about worms and another way to recycle that most people have never even thought about doing before. Now, if you were to guess, how many worms do you think are in those 2 piles down there? You know, probably just 10, 15,000, give or take a few hundred.
When the worms digest the cardboard and the cow manure, you get, well, worm manure. But in the business, it's called worm casting.
I bet you that, oh, maybe one of them, but not too many of your listeners, probably, people that watch your show, have seen that much worm manure in one place at one time.
I'm guessing he's right.
I absolutely love it. There's nothing really that I would rather do than be here. Promote global warming, that's what I want everybody to do. If everybody would promote global warming, I would have a career in this.
Now, Ivan continued the worm business for another year or so, but realized he was never going to make enough money at it. So he sold it to a company that moved the operation to Texas. And then Ivan started a party bus company and had success with that for 9 years. He sold that, and he went to work for Village Travel in Wichita and worked his way up the ladder. This is fascinating. Ivan is now Chief Operating Officer for the company, and he's an airplane pilot. He's helped Village Travel become one of the largest charter bus companies in America. It's just amazing.
That is amazing, because it is one of the largest charter bus companies in America.
It is.
That
huge.
Company has grown and grown
Yes.
and grown, and he was a part of that. Ivan was a part of that.
From worms to travel.
To travel.
Amazing. I love that.
Ivan says he loves watching Hatteberg's People, and now he has his teenage daughter hooked on Hatteberg's People.
See, every generation loves this show.
Exactly.
So
no,
great.
I get comments in the grocery store all the time.
From
Susan,
all ages,
all
right?
ages, yeah. Young, old, medium.
Yeah,
medium like us.
Medium.
We're
yeah.
medium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Medium like us.
No, I really
like
do.
that.
I really do. A lot of people, you know, they like going back in time to a simpler time, and what we think was a simpler time, it may not have been, but it's nice to escape for a half an hour.
It is, and they like meeting the people. Okay.
Okay, a few weeks ago, we showed you a 1996 story about biology professor Max Turman at Tabor College. He was gaining worldwide attention at the time for his work with great horned owls.
Now, 2 years later, Dr. Turman and his colleague Richard Wall were making headlines again, this time for their research into rattlesnakes.
They fascinate us, tantalize us, scare us, and may be one of the most misunderstood creatures on Earth. They are the snakes.
I think the other thing, too, whenever you have a balance of fear and attraction, you tend to get a strong emotion.
There's a little college called Tabor on the prairie's edge. Quiet, except for the noise it makes on a national level. This snake is making the college famous among biologists and scientists.
First thing a lot of kids always ask is, well, how long do they live? Well, we really don't know. A lot of reptiles, particularly, we just haven't kept records. What records are kept are kind of just informal.
On a college campus, you think of old buildings, but not usually of old snakes. At Tabor, it's the old snake that garners the headline.
People are surprised when they live 30 years or so, and maybe we shouldn't be.
Maybe not. This diamondback rattler, captured 25 years ago by biologist Richard Wall, is now believed to be the oldest snake of its kind in captivity. Biologist Richard Wall and Max Turman checked with the San Diego Zoo for the record, and this Tabor snake now holds it.
It's fairly evident now, at least just from other people I've talked to, that snakes will live a lot longer if they don't overeat. And so we typically don't feed them during the winter, so they go 5 to 6 months without eating. During the summer, then we feed them pretty well. And I'm convinced that's probably why.
That's the reason we keep snakes here, very visible. You can get up close, watch them, see that eye movement, see a very complex behavior. I think humans developed with a fear of snakes because they had to avoid them to stay alive.
Now, this isn't the first record-setting snake Tabor is famous for. Meet Methuselah, a now stuffed and mounted prairie rattler who lived at Tabor for nearly 30 years.
Hopefully, by having our snakes so visible, the more you get to know them, the more you get to like them.
Now, Richard Wall passed away in 2005. Max Turman retired from Tabor College in 2006. Turman says that snake was still alive at that time.
At that time. We don't know, of course, we assume maybe the snake's not alive, but all the snakes were handed over to a snake sanctuary because they kind of terminated that program.
Yeah.
And right after 2006, that's what happened. So the snake probably enjoyed a nice retirement at the snake sanctuary. And we're just going to say he lived to be 105.
There you go.
All
sure.
right.
Why
All
not?
right.
Check us out on that.
There you go. If you watched much Kansas TV in the 80s and 90s, you probably saw Larry and I reporting the news, and you probably also saw Tom Park trying to sell cars.
Yeah, Tom was one of the best-known TV pitchmen around. I caught up with him in 1991 to find out about this man who was on TV around the clock peddling Fords and Chevys.
The race is on. How do we do that? Folks, hope you're enjoying your week.
Is that?
Hey, Kansas.
Could it be?
Tom Park.
It's that car guy, Tom Park, arriving in Wichita to produce yet even more car commercials.
All right, this will be your spot number one. Are you ready?
Who is this guy who gets more airtime than most television anchors?
Hi, folks. How are you this weekend? I'm Tom Park, back at your home.
He's a guy who travels a lot. Where was he yesterday?
I was in Oklahoma City.
And where will you be tomorrow?
I'll be in Sacramento, California.
Tom Park is the guy you love to hate. Seems that every time you turn on the TV, there he is.
This market, I'm probably on more than I am in any other market.
No kidding there. When Tom comes to this Wichita Ford dealership, they do commercials.
We'll do 32 of them today here, and then we'll go to Hutchinson and do another 20 or so.
And he's slick. Most are one take, and Park seldom messes up. Nothing is memorized. It's all ad-lib.
Yeah, most of it. Yeah, it's a lot of things that I've done over the years seem to reoccur from time to time, certain phrases that I use.
No, Tom Park isn't out at the Ford dealership full-time, and he's not a Wichitan.
Tom Park has a great life. I'm coming up on my 18th year of marriage. This June 15th. I've got 2 kids, 2 boys, 9 and 5. Live in Dallas, Texas, soon to live in Austin, Texas. We're moving very shortly. Been doing this about 10 years and love every minute of it.
As the shooting intensifies during the afternoon, Park writes in black magic marker on the car windows details about the vehicle. It's just a little trick to help him remember.
89 F-150 XLT 4x4. Why pay more?
If you leave Wichita, chances are Tom Park commercials will follow.
I'm in Wichita, and I'm in Atlanta, Sacramento, Houston, San Antonio, and what am I forgetting? I'm sure it's a good one. Dallas, where I live.
But does all this exposure sell cars?
Our new vehicle sales were up 46% over a year ago.
Park's persistent commercials have folks talking to the local newspaper. Bob Getz's column headlined, TV Smoothies Driving Poor Kansans Nuts.
I take it with a grain of salt. That goes with the territory. I'm not going to get all upset about it. I just try to talk to people instead of announce to them. And if I happen to maybe mispronounce a word or stumble a little bit, that's okay, because I don't want it to be too slick.
Word has it that this is a very lucrative business for Park. $1 million a year, maybe?
Oh, no. I make a good living. And I'm always trying to expand my business.
The shooting has been going on all afternoon and will continue until midnight. And believe it or not, some viewer even sent him a Valentine, but nothing else.
Marriage proposals, no. I usually point to this. Happily.
We're rolling.
and it starts again.
And this
the
would
grind.
be the
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I've not gotten tired of it yet, let's put it that way. I sometimes get tired, but I don't get tired of doing it.
What will Tom Park pitch next? You never know.
You know, if you're not watching Larry Hatteberg's People, you probably have missed way too much.
You couldn't turn on the TV without seeing him pitching
Everybody
those
remembers
cars.
him, if you
Sure
were
they do.
around back then.
That's right.
Yeah.
And Tom continued doing those memorable car commercials for many more years. Unfortunately, he died of cancer in 2023 at age 69. It's just fascinating to when those people come in, you know, and they're hired to pitch the cars.
Yeah.
And they kind of become one of the family. Say, oh, that's Tom Park.
They become one of the family.
Yeah.
And he did it for many cities across the country,
That's right.
I believe.
That's right. You could go from Wichita to Kansas City or Springfield.
And you saw
there he
Tom
is.
Parks.
So, yeah.
And he passed way too young, only
He did.
69.
He sure did.
But his legacy, his memory lives on with Hatteberg's People.
It does.
Hey, that's a wrap for us this week. Hatteberg's People, kpts.org is our email address. If you have a question or a comment, thank you so much for watching. I'm Susan Peters.
And I'm Larry Hatteberg, and we look forward to seeing you again very soon. So long, everybody.